Sometimes the people we love, trust, and call family may end up being our worst nightmare. If you like my stories, kind support by liking and subscribing to channel for amazing stories. Thank you. Amara was 7 years old when the night turned dark in a new way. Her mother was in the kitchen frying plantain. Her father was in his study reading a report. The house smelled like dinner and clean soap. The radio played a soft song. Everything felt normal. Then a car stopped outside. There was a loud knock. Before anyone could answer, the door burst open. 3 men with covered faces rushed in. One shouted for money. Another waved a gun. The third kicked over a chair. Amara froze. Her mother pulled her close, but the men pushed them apart. Her father tried to speak calmly, to give them what they wanted. He opened the safe. He handed out cash and jewelry. He said, "Please, leave my family." The men argued with each other. One wanted to go. Another wanted more. The room felt hot and tight. Then came the shots, sharp and fast. Amara crawled under the dining table. She covered her ears. She could not stop shaking. The men ran out. Tires screamed on the road. Silence sat in the house like a dead weight. When the police came, neighbors came too. People cried. A woman led Amara away and gave her water. The world felt far away, like she was inside a glass box, and sound could not reach her. She looked for her mother's hand. She looked for her father's smile. Both were gone. Days passed in a blur. There was a funeral, flowers, white cloth, many faces, many voices saying, "Sorry, sorry, sorry." Amara stood beside a tall man in a fine agbada. He was her father's only uncle, Chief Namdi. He held her shoulder and spoke softly. "My child," he said, "your father trusted me, his company, his houses, his accounts. I will keep them safe for you. When you come of age, all will return to you. I give my word." Amara nodded. She did not fully understand companies and accounts. She only understood that this man was family, and family would not let her drown. That evening, Chief Namdi took Amara to his big house. The gate was tall. The floors were shiny. There were more rooms than she could count. His wife, Madame Ifeoma, wore gold earrings that clicked when she turned her head. Their children, Ada and Uchi, stared. "This is your cousin," the chief said. "She will live with us." A room was prepared for Amara. It had a small bed and a window that looked at a mango tree. She sat on the mattress and hugged her school bag. Inside it, she kept a family photo and a blue ribbon her mother once tied in her hair. She whispered, "Mama, Papa, I will be brave." That night, she could not sleep. The house was safe, but the darkness still felt full of footsteps. She pressed the family photo to her chest. She told herself the uncle's promise was strong. She told herself that one day the pain would be less, and she would walk in her father's office again. Outside, crickets sang. Inside, Amara's tears dried on her cheeks. The world had changed in one night. Still, she held on to one thin thread, a promise. In the morning, Madame Ifeoma knocked. "Get dressed," she said. "Breakfast is ready." Amara folded her blanket and stood up straight. She wanted to be good. She wanted to be useful. She wanted to make the people who took her in feel proud to help her. She did not know that the road she had stepped onto would be long and rough. She did not know that the promise would be tested again and again. But for now, she told herself, "I will be brave." And she went to the table and she said thank you for her food, and she watched her uncle's face, searching for the same kindness she had seen at the funeral. He smiled once and patted her head. It was a small light in a deep tunnel. Amara held it tightly. At first, life in the big house seemed calm. Chief Namdi left early each day, smelling of cologne and leather seats. He carried a briefcase and spoke on the phone about numbers and meetings. Sometimes he smiled at Amara and asked if she slept well. She always said, "Yes, uncle. Thank you." Madame Ifeoma ran the house like a clock. The cook came at dawn. The driver polished the cars. A housekeeper, Mama Ijeoma, moved quietly from room to room. She had gentle eyes. She spoke to Amara in a soft voice and slipped her extra fruit at lunch. "Eat," she would say. "You need strength." One afternoon, the chief called Amara to his study. The room smelled like books and wood polish. He pointed at a framed photo of Amara's father on the wall. "Your father built a strong company," he said. "He was proud of you. He told me to guide you. I will keep everything safe until you are grown. When you turn 18, we will sign documents. You will inherit what is yours." Amara's heart lifted. "Thank you, uncle," she said. "I will study hard so I can help the company one day." He nodded. "Good girl." She started school again a week later, but not the private school she knew. The new school was crowded. The roof leaked when it rained. Still, she tried her best. She loved English and business studies. She wrote her name carefully, Amara Okafor. Seeing it on paper made her feel steady. At home, things slowly changed. The chief's children were polite at first. Then they began to tease. "Why do you wear the same shoes?" Ada asked, laughing. "Why do you eat so slowly?" Uche added. Amara lowered her eyes and kept quiet. Chores began to grow. "Help set the table," Madame Ifeoma said. "Wash the plates. Sweep the corridor. Clean the guest room. Pick the mangoes." At first, Amara did not mind. Helping felt natural, but the tasks kept growing until they reached her neck. She studied late at night when the house slept. In the morning, she woke earlier than everyone to mop the floor. One evening, Amara asked for a new school uniform because hers had become tight. Madame Ifeoma waved her hand. "It can wait." But the next day, new clothes arrived for Ada and Uchi. Amara said nothing. She folded her old uniform and put in small stitches to make it last. She grew quiet, like a candle burning in a draft. Whenever the chief was home, he was kind. He gave Amara a small birthday cake when she turned 8. He brought her a second-hand book about companies when she turned 9. "Read," he said. "Learn." She read. She learned. And she watched. She saw papers arrive from the company. She heard the chief speak in low tones about shares, directors, and assets. She heard the words guardian and trust. She asked Mama Ijoma what they meant. "It means your uncle holds your father's things for you," the woman said. "One day, they will be yours." "Will he keep his promise?" Amara asked. Mama Ijoma looked at her for a long time. "I pray so." Years folded over each other. Amara grew taller. The housekeeper grew slower. The teasing became sharper. The chores became heavier. The chief smiled less at home and more in pictures in the newspaper. He looked powerful in every photo. One night, Amara saw a file in the study. It had her father's name. Her hand shook as she touched it. She did not open it. She was afraid to do wrong. Instead, she went to her room, took out the family photo from her bag, and told her parents about her day. She whispered, "I am trying, Mama. I am trying, Papa." The next morning, she cleaned the study. The file was gone. The chief drove away in a black car with tinted windows. The gate closed. The house grew quiet again. The promise still lived in Amara's chest, but now it shared space with a new feeling: worry.
By the time Amara turned 12, the house no longer felt like shelter. It felt like a test she had to pass every day. "Wake up," Madame Ifeoma would say before sunrise. "There is work." Amara would sweep the long corridor and wipe the glass table until it shone. She would wash a basket of clothes in the backyard. She would iron uniforms that were not hers. When she finally sat down to eat, someone would call her name again. "Amara, bring water." "Amara, where are my shoes?" "Amara, the guest bathroom is dirty." She moved like the hands of a clock, always working, never stopping. School became harder to attend. If a visitor was coming, Amara was told to stay and help. If the driver was busy, she walked a long distance. Many times she arrived late. A teacher warned, "If you miss again, we will mark you absent." At lunch, the food in the house was plenty, but Amara was often told, "Eat later." Later sometimes meant nothing was left. She learned to chew slowly so hunger would not hurt. Ada and Uchi stopped calling her cousin. They called her house girl. Ada would laugh and say, "Don't touch my things." Uchi would push a plate at her and say, "Wash it well this time." Only Mama Ijoma still spoke kindness. "You are not what they call you," she whispered. "You are your mother's child." One weekend, the chief planned a party. Musicians came. Cars lined the street. Lights wrapped the mango tree like stars. Amara helped in the kitchen until her legs ached. When the party started, Madame Ifeoma told her to stay out of sight. From the hallway, Amara watched her uncle laugh with men in fine clothes. She heard him tell a story about a brave business move. Everyone clapped. She thought of her father, who never liked loud parties, who always kept promises. The next week, the chief traveled. Papers came from the company and went straight to his study. Amara delivered them. She saw her father's logo on letterheads. She felt a pull in her chest, but the door to the study stayed closed to her. Then came the blow. Madame Ifeoma said, "You will stop school for now? We cannot afford the fees." Amara stared. "But I can work and still go. I can wake earlier. I can—" "We have decided," Madame Ifeoma said. "Do not argue." At night, Amara cried into her pillow. Her tears felt like stones. In the morning, she folded her school uniform and placed it at the back of her shelf. She picked up the mop again. Days turned into months. Amara taught herself from old textbooks that Mama Ijoma found in a charity box. She read at night by a small torchlight. She copied new words in a notebook. Asset, equity, board, trust. She said them out loud until they felt like seeds in her mouth. On her 15th birthday, the chief gave her nothing. He was away. Madame Ifeoma said, "You are too big for cake." Ada and Uche laughed. That evening, the gate man, Baba Sola, called Amara quietly. He handed her an envelope. Inside was a small letter her father had written when she was a baby, saved by the accountant, Mr. Okoro, and finally passed along. "My Amara," the letter said in simple words, "if you read this, I love you. Be brave. The company is not our name. Our name is our honesty. If you must choose, choose honesty." Amara held the letter to her heart. The paper was worn, but the words were strong. She felt new air in her lungs. She told herself she would not be small forever. She began to keep a file of her own. She collected copies of anything she could get. An old share certificate from before the robbery, a school ID with her father's surname, the funeral program, a photocopy of the uncle's promise written in the church condolence book. "I, Chief Namdi, will keep all in trust for my niece," signed and dated. She did not know exactly how these papers would help, but they felt like pebbles she could throw across a wide river. One day she would reach the other side. For now she woke before sunrise, worked with her. On the morning of her 18th birthday, Amara ironed her best dress. It was plain but clean. She brushed her hair and held her folder close. Her hands shook, but her voice was ready. She knocked on the study door. "Enter," the chief said. He sat behind the large desk, glasses low on his nose. Papers lay in stacks. A framed photo of her father still hung on the wall. "Good morning, Uncle," Amara said. "Today I am 18. She placed the folder on the desk. "You promised to return my father's company and property when I came of age. I am ready to sign whatever is needed." For a moment, silence. Then the chief leaned back and laughed, not kindly. "Child," he said, "you misunderstand. Your father had debts. The company needed a strong hand. I have managed everything. There is nothing to return." Amara kept her voice even. "I have records." She opened the folder and laid out copies. The share certificate from before the robbery, the funeral program with his signed note, a list of assets, her birth certificate, and statements from Pastor Gabriel and Mr. Okoro. The chief's face hardened. "You think papers will save you? Who will believe a house girl?" He pushed the folder back with 2 fingers. "Be grateful you have a roof." Amara felt the sting, but she did not cry. "A promise is a promise," she said softly. "Get out," he snapped, "and do not speak of this again." She picked up her folder, bowed her head once, and left the room. Her legs trembled as she walked to her small bed. She sat, breathing slow. The promise had shattered, but something else stood firm inside her. Her decision. By evening, Amara had packed her few things: clothes, the family photo, her father's letter, and the folder. She went to the kitchen to say goodbye to Mama Ijoma. "My child," the old woman said, eyes wet, "you are doing the brave thing. Take this." She pressed some folded notes into Amara's hand. "It is small, but it will help." "Thank you," Amara whispered. "I will come back for you." She left the house quietly after dark. The gate man, Baba Sola, pretended not to see her. As she passed, he whispered, "God go with you, Pekin." The city night was loud. Amara held her bag close and walked to the bus stop. She took a bus to a small church hostel Mrs. Bello had told her about. The room was simple, with a bed and a chair. To Amara, it felt like freedom. The next morning, she went to the free legal clinic. The waiting room was full. Volunteers moved from person to person with clipboards. A young lawyer with kind eyes called her name. "I am Amina," she said. "Tell me everything." Amara told her story the way she had practiced, clear and calm. She laid out her papers. Amina asked careful questions. She nodded slowly. "You have more than many people bring," Amina said. "We will file a petition. We will ask the court to recognize you as the rightful heir and to account for all assets held in trust." The days that followed were busy. Amara found small jobs, washing, serving, helping in a bakery at dawn. She earned little, but it was hers. In the evenings, she met with Amina and a senior lawyer, Mr. Adeoye. They drafted letters and sent notices. They requested company records. They spoke to witnesses. News reached the chief. He sent a message. Come back home and stop this nonsense. Amara replied through the lawyers. All communication should be in writing. He sent someone to scare her. The man waited near the clinic and said, This case will bring you shame. Amara lifted her chin. Truth does not shame me, she said, and walked inside. The petition was filed. A court date was set. Amara wore her plain dress and sat between Amina and Mr. Adeoye. She felt fear and courage woven together in her heart. She held her father's letter in her pocket like a warm stone. The judge entered. Everyone stood. The case began. Court days were long. Words filled the room like waves. But Amina and Mr. Adeoye guided Amara through each step. They presented the funeral program with the chief's promise written and signed. They showed the old share certificate and explained how guardianship should work. Pastor Gabriel took the stand and said, I heard the promise with my own ears. Mr. Okoro said, the company records named Amara's father as majority owner. He planned for his daughter to inherit. The chief's lawyer argued loudly. He said the company was failing. He said the chief had saved it. He said the promise was not legal. But when the judge asked for proof of the chief's right to take full control, the answers were thin. Bank letters showed loans taken against company property. Board minutes were presented, but the signatures looked odd. A handwriting expert said they did not match known signatures of two directors. The judge frowned. Through it all, Amara sat straight. She spoke only when asked. When the judge asked why she had left the house, she said simply, because I asked for what was mine and was told it did not exist. Weeks passed. On the final day, the judge read the decision. His voice was steady. This court recognizes that the late Mr. Okafor's assets, including controlling shares in Okafor Holdings, were to be held in trust for his daughter, Miss Amara Okafor, until she reached the age of 18. The evidence, including a signed written promise and witness testimony, supports this. The court orders a full accounting of assets managed by Chief Anamdi and directs that control of the company and associated properties be restored to Miss Okafor. Further, the court appoints an independent auditor to review all transactions during the period of guardianship. The words washed over Amara like clean rain. She closed her eyes and whispered, Thank you. Outside the court, the sun felt new. Amina smiled and squeezed her hand. You did it, she said. Now comes the work. The work was real. The company needed careful hands. The auditor uncovered waste and pride where there should have been simple stewardship. With the court's help, debts were restructured. A respectful manager, Mr. S., was hired to run daily operations while Amara learned. Amara returned to school, this time to a business program for young adults. She studied during the day and met with the manager in the evening. She asked questions. She listened more than she spoke. She carried her father's letter in her bag and read it before big meetings. She visited the big house once, not to stay, but to keep another promise. She knocked at the kitchen door. Mama Ijoma, she called softly. The old woman turned, eyes wide, then full of tears. My child, Amara hugged her. Come with me, she said. You will not work yourself tired anymore. She helped the housekeeper move to a small, sunny apartment near the mango seller's stall. She made sure the rent was paid and medicine was stocked. She also opened a small foundation in her mother's name, the Rosa Haven Home for Girls. It gave safe beds, warm meals, and school fees to girls who had lost parents. On the wall, she hung a simple motto, choose honesty, keep promises. One day she stood in her father's old office. The blinds were open. Morning light filled the room. The plants on the windowsill were new and green. A photo of her parents sat on the desk. She touched the frame and smiled. There was a soft knock. It was the chief. His shoulders were lower now. I came to apologize, he said. I forgot what promises mean. Amara listened. She did not raise her voice. I accept your apology, she said. I cannot forget what happened, but I can choose peace. For the company's sake, stay away from its decisions. He nodded and left quietly. The door closed. Amara sat at the desk. She opened a notebook and wrote the day's plan in clear lines. Pay the staff on time, visit the foundation, meet the auditors, call Mrs. Bello and say thank you. She looked out at the city. It did not look as hard as before. She felt the steady beat of a new life. It was not perfect, but it was honest. It was hers. In the evening, children at the foundation sang a simple song. Amara clapped along. She saw a girl with a blue ribbon in her hair. She knelt and tied it tighter, the way her mother once did for her. "Are we safe here?" the girl asked. "Yes," Amara said, smiling. "You are safe, and you have a future." The moon rose. The house was warm. The promise once broken was made whole again, by truth, by courage, by love. Amara lifted her face to the night and whispered, "Mama, Papa, we did it.